So I didn't get to all of my blue Chateau Lisianthus this year. I bought a whole tray from Farmer Fred, or Farmer Bailey, not Farmer Fred, Farmer Bailey, and I planted it all out in a 3-foot by 10-foot bed, really dense, and they did beautifully. Loved being planted close. One end gets a little bit more shade, so those were a little bit thinner, but I would say at least 3/4 of the bed was just absolutely fantastic. But there were so many blooms, I just couldn't get to them all, and then the heat hit, and they just went down like in a week. And they love heat, but they were at the end of their lifespan for blooms, and then we got this like month of 117-degree weather. I think July, August. So pretty typical, and you don't want to go outside anyway. And anyway, so I wanted to let them go to seed. So I don't need this much seed. So you can see I'm collecting like premium pods over here that I know for certain are really going to be good pods. And then like, okay pods over here. And you can see there's just tons of them. And in other video, I showed how I seeded one pod of each of this blue Chateau and one pod of what I think is Voyage Apricot. And the entire, they look like dust. It looks like mold spores. It's just this brown dust that the seeds are. And I planted out a whole seed pod in these little containers, which used to hold seaweed snacks. And the one with Voyage Apricot, I'm starting to tease them apart and plant them. I planted 2 72-inch plug trays, and it doesn't even look like I've touched the plants. There's probably like well over 1,000 plants in there. I would say 1,500 plant baby seedlings in there. It's so dense, it's ridiculous. And this one was just as full, and they popped up within like 3 days. But I don't know if I put it too close to the light or if it got algae, but I had like sudden die off. Every single one died off. I have no idea why. So I'm gonna have to seed out another one, and of course it's 3 weeks later, and it's been busy with work. So I'm collecting these seeds, and I just don't need this many. So good to know. I don't even need blue Chateau because they overwinter fine here. I'm Sacramento Zone 9B, and the ones that I had from last year, which were ABC, are kind of like buried in zinnias, and I pruned them down to the ground, and they popped back up and bloomed super early. Did fine. They did not. None of those ABCs, though, are going to last a 3rd year. So they bloomed, and I didn't prune them all the way back to the ground, and I think that makes a big difference for Lisianthus. But I don't think Lisianthus is really a 2-year plant. So I think better to either have new seedlings or only let them go for 2 years. Because like my Voyage, First Love, Champagne, and Light Apricot, holy moly, they were ones that I grew from seed, were monsters, absolute monsters. So anyway, I like growing them from seed, but I'm going to collect more seed pods. You can see this one actually has a good seed pod in here. Doing this one-handed is not the easiest, but look at how fat that seed pod is. It's just super fat. So I've just been breaking them off like this, and oops, come on. And then they are hard to do this one-handed. Let's see if I can do this. Knee power. So let's see if I can get it to crack open. And we'll see how mature this seed is. Oh, see, this is a good seed pod, but the seeds are still really young. You can see they're white. And that would have been a great mature seed pod tons of seeds, but you can see just tons of seeds. But this one is still really young. I am curious if they're mature enough to like sprout, but too green. But it was a nice fat seed pod. So anyway, I will collect these, but I really only need like one seed pot for myself to produce enough baby Lisianthus to like feed the world. So anyway, thought I'd just show you that saving Lisianthus seed is not a bad idea. And since all of my Lisianthus were like First Love, Champagne, and Light Apricot, and Blue Chateau, I don't care if they cross-pollinated. I don't think the colors are going to be bad. The Voyage series, though, is very nice, hard stems, and of course really great blooms at the tops. Blue Chateau, the stems are much thinner, and what I mean by top growth blooms is that that you have the blooms closer to the bottom and then the top. They do recommend that you cut off the first bloom, but this one, it's not as distinctive. Like Voyage series, the first bloom is way ahead of all the other blooms, and then all the other blooms do tend to bloom much closer in timing. Blue Chateau kind of putters along, so but it is a beautiful neutral color, perfect neutral color in bouquets. I used it like filler, so do recommend. It's very yellow in the peak of the heat. It loses a lot of that lavender beige blush tone, but as soon as it cools down, it goes back to that beautiful lavender and beige tone. Now, I think all of these are probably going to be a little too green, but they are nice fat pods. So I just couldn't wait any longer. I needed to get those plants cut back to the ground so that they can put on a little bit of a rosette and then settle in for the winter. So so most of these will probably be a little too green. But I did get a lot of really nice pods, so I'm not too worried about it. Anyway, happy growing.